Chapter 22, The Rosicrucians. I'm somehow reading about the Rosicrucians in a different book at the same time. Amazing how things coincide the way they do. Speculation has been rife as to the origin of the Rosicrucians, and the many fables and legends connected with the subject have but little historical value. Owing to the great discrepancy between the information contained in the following article and that given in a more modern editions of the Encyclopedia Britannica, it has been deemed advisable to reprint the former. See the Encyclopedia Britannica, 3rd edition, volume 16, year 1797, Edinburgh, Bell and Manfacour. Rosicrucians, a name assumed by a sect or cabal of hermetical philosophers who arose as it has been said, or at least became first taken notice of in Germany in the beginning of the 14th century. They bound themselves together by a solemn secret, which they all swore inviolably to preserve. They obliged themselves at the admission into the order to a strict observance of certain established rules. They pretended to know all sciences and chiefly medicine, whereof they published themselves the restorers. They pretended to be masters of abundance of important secrets, and among others that of the philosopher's stone, all which they affirmed to have received by tradition from the ancient Egyptians, Chaldeans, the Magi, and the gymnosophists. They have been distinguished by several names accommodated to the several branches of their doctrine, because they pretend to protect the period of human life by means of certain nostrums, and even to restore youth. They were called immortals. As they pretended to know all things, they have been called Illuminati, and because they have made no appearance for several years, unless the sect of the Illuminated, which lately started up on the continent, derives its origin from them. They have been called the Invisible Brothers. Their society is frequently signed by the letters FRC, which some among them interpret Fratres Roris Cocti, it being pretended that the matter of the philosopher's stone is due, concocted, exalted, etc. Some who are no friends to Freemasonry make the present flourishing society of Freemasons a branch of the Rosicrucians, or rather the Rosicrucians themselves, under a new name or relation, viz. As retainers to building. And it is certain there are some Freemasons who have all the characters of Rosicrucians, but how the area and original of Freemasonry, but how the area and original of Freemasonry, and shoot, man, hold on, I'm not supposed to have that many ands. But how the era and original of Freemasonry and that of Rosicrucianism, here fixed from Nadius, who has written expressly on the subject, conflict, we leave others to judge. Notwithstanding the pretended antiquity of the Rosicrucians, it is probable that the alchemists, Paracelsists, or fire philosophers who spread themselves through almost all Europe about the close of the 16th century, assumed about this period the obscure and ambiguous title of Rosicrucian Brethren, which commanded at first some degree of respect, as it seemed to be borrowed from the arms of Luther, which were a cross placed upon a rose. But the denomination evidently appears to be derived from the science of chemistry. It is not compounded, says Mathiam, as many imagine, of the two words rosa and crux, which signify rose and cross, but of the latter of these words and the Latin rose, which signifies dew. At the head of these fanatics were Robert Flood, an English physician, Jacob Benham, and Michael Mayer. But if rumor may be credited, the present illuminated have a head of higher rank. The common principles which serve as a kind of center of union to the Rosicrucian society are the following. They all maintain that the dissolution of bodies by the power of fire is the only way by which men can arrive at true wisdom and come to discern the first principles of things. They all acknowledge a certain analogy and harmony between the powers of nature and the doctrines of religion, and believe that the deity governs the kingdom of grace by the same laws with which he rules the kingdom of nature, and hence they are led to use chemical denominations to express the truth of religion. They all hold that there is a sort of divine energy or soul diffused through the frame of the universe, which some call the Argus, others the universal spirit, and which others mention under different appellations. They all talk in the most superstitious manner of what they call the signatures of things, of the power of the stars over the corporal beings and their particular influence upon the human race, of the efficacy of magic and the various ranks and orders of demons. These demons they divide into two orders, sylphs and gnomes. This article, having been written in 1747, only hinted at what the Rosicrucians might have been. Subsequent research upon the organization of the fraternity, its tenets, and its achievements shows it to have been a medium for the propagation of Gnosticism and a center for political activities. Before it conquered Freemasonry, which was officially instituted in 1717, many names were already associated intimately with the esoteric organization. Among others were Faustus Socinus, Caesar Cremoni, Michael Mayer, Valentine Andrea, Thomas Vaughan, Philoletus, Charles Blount, Frederick Hellevinus, Robert Simon, and Theophilus Desiderius. It is claimed that Faustus Socinus, named after Faustus the Manichae, nephew of Lelius Socinus, whose teacher was Camillo Renato, was an intimate of Rosicrucianism and the founder of the Socinians. Catholics and Protestants alike opposed Faustus Socinus in his efforts to graft a secret cult on the existing Orthodox religions, and in 1598 the people of Cracovia revolted by his doctrines, pillaged his house, burned his books and manuscripts, and almost massacred the author. He had sworn hatred to the church and busied himself in founding an association, the aims of which were to be subversive to all its teachings. And 2 years before his death, he was obliged to take refuge from his enemies with one Abraham Blonsky. The membership of the Rose Cross was composed of alchemists, astrologists, and spiritists whose quest was the search for the process for transmuting base metals into gold and the secret to life. The most of these generation was the root of principal alchemy. The Order of the Rose Cross revealed itself in 1614 with the appearance of the two books, Fama Fraternitatis and the Confessio, attributed to Valentine Andrea, giving the legend of the travels of Christian Rosencreutz. According to Charles T. McLean, 33-degree historian, Grand Lodge State of New York, this same legend had appeared as the work of Raymond Lully, who died in 1315. In this legend, translated into English in 1616 by Robert Flood, a symbolic personage called Christian Rosencreutz, destined to live 106 years on earth, travailed in the East, where he studied the Kabbalah, and on his return to the native Germany, he revealed the three disciples the secrets of secrets, the great secret of theosophy. Finally, he retired to a cave to finish his days in solitude, dying in 1484 at the age of 106. His disciples came and shrouded him and disappeared. His grave was to be unknown for 6 times 20 years, at the end of which period it was to become the hearth of the light destined to illuminate the world, at the time appointed by God. In 1604, chance brought men to this cave. On entering, great was their surprise to find it resplendent with a bright light. It contained an altar bearing upon a copper plate the inscription, "Living, I reserve this light for my grave." One mysterious figure was accompanied by this epigram, "Never vacant, A second figure, the yoke of the law. A third figure, the liberty of the Gospels. A fourth, the glory of the whole God. The hall still contained lamps burning without fuel, mirrors of various shapes, and books. Upon the wall was written, "In 6 times 20 years I will be discovered." The prophecy was fulfilled, added the fable by way of conclusion. How much more we got? I forgot. Oh. The pain. The pain. Shit. The movement was greatly furthered by the impulse given to when, after the appearance of the Famor Fraternitatis and Confessio, a German alchemist, Michael Mayer, an English physician, Robert Flood, a pietist, Julius Sperber, wrote treatises in defense or explanation of the Order of the Rose Cross. It has repeatedly been stated that Michael Mayer, who frequently visited England, was a friend of Robert Flood. He was the author of Themis Aurea and Silentem Post Clamors, both Rosicrucian works. His political influence may be judged from his career. Physician to Rudolph II, he was created by the Count of Palatinate and acted as advisor to his sovereign. In 1609, Rudolph II issued an imperial charter granting religious liberty to the Moravians. Masonic authorities state that Mayer, as a Rosicrucian, changed his official title to Summonus Magister, Sovereign Master, which is that used by all his successors and borne by the principal Solsian Rose-Crew documents dating from the time of Faustus Socinus to that of Johann Wolf, which are preserved in the Sovereign Patriarch Council of Hamburg. That is the Supreme Jewish Lodge, secretly affiliated to International Masonry. How long have I gone? Man, once I get an hour and I haven't eaten all day, it becomes a chore. I hate when it's a chore. I enjoy doing this. In his book. No, hold on. In his book, Themis Aurea, written in 1616 and 1670 and printed in 1618, Mayer the Grand Master. I'm done.